You had a wonderful day, and it was a reflection of love and beauty. Today, we're going to be working on some of the spiritual principles found in step three. The defect we'll be talking about is unwillingness, and the spiritual principle of willingness. And so, real quick, a lot of people associate this step with a higher power. Um, Even if you're agnostic, you can work this step, but it's tremendously easier if you believe something out there loves you, uh, and it doesn't have to be what anybody else believes, as long as it's loving, caring, and more powerful than you. So, if you would go ahead and sit in a comfortable position, as you start to notice your breathing, allowing it to. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath first. Release. Feeling the tension drop from your shoulders. Another deep breath in. Breathing out all the stale air as much as you can. Another deep breath in. And allow your breath to take its own natural rhythm, as long as it's not shallow. Good, steady breath. If you have a thought come up, it's okay. Bring your attention back to my voice with your awareness every time your mind starts to wander. In this moment, the eternal here, the forever now, there's nowhere to go, nowhere to be, nothing to do. You have set aside this time, this moment, to be with yourself, to be with me, to be with your higher power. And in this moment where sometimes you experience unwillingness to change is tied to fear of change, fear of the unknown. Sometimes the comfortability of the pain and suffering feels so familiar that the illusion of safety is given, and you are no longer safe in the fear. That is an illusion of the ego. And so you are now becoming more willing to grow, more willing to change, more willing to surrender. Surrender to the fact that you do not know everything, and that is okay. As you come to this realization, this understanding, the weight is lifted off of your shoulders as you move into a new experience. You're beginning to become willing to grow into the new you, willing to let go of all that no longer serves you, willing to let go of the defects that are presently standing in the way. You release the grip that you are holding on to that is keeping you tied to an experience that is no longer of your highest good. And as you release into the highest version of yourself, your higher self. You surrender to that. You are willing to let go for a higher good of yourself, to a higher understanding now that you are presently looking out for yourself from a spiritual aspect that you are able to tap into now. And as you surrender the ego self, the will of the ego, and surrender to the fact that you are looking out for your highest good in another dimension, that a different aspect of yourself, the highest self, who only wants the highest love for all, And what a release it is to know that you no longer have to serve your ego, that you are allowed to surrender into the willingness and you turn your willingness over to the divine you, to the highest you, to the higher power, to this aspect of the universe of divine creation that wants the highest good for all, with that knowingness, with that surrender of the ego will and into the will of the greatest good for all. Isn't there beauty in that? Isn't there a peace and serenity in not trying to fix, manage, and control all that you meet, all encounters? Isn't there a specialness in the letting go of control? For control is a mechanism of the ego. Control is an illusion. The only thing I have control over is my thoughts, actions, and behaviors. And yes, I may not have control over all thoughts that I come up with, for I have an ego that also shares in my thinking, or a disease that gives me thoughts that are not mine. There is a power in the actions that follow that thinking that is not one with my true nature. And my true nature is my spirituality, my spiritual self, and my highest good. And I tap into that now, releasing the ego, releasing control over my experience. I allow things to happen naturally. I stop exerting this force of demand, of control, of the grip of the ego, and I surrender to the light. I am willing now to turn over my will to the greatest and highest good for all, the greatest and highest good for myself that I cannot always see from my limited perspective of my humanness. I turn over to the greatest good for myself. And in that, I am free. I am one with my Creator. I am one with my spirit, my emotions, my mental capacity, align, all intersecting at my heart center. My mental body is clear of thought. My emotional body is more calm. My physical body is not anxious. And my spiritual body is aligned with Source, with creation, with light, with love, with beauty. And with that, I'm willing. I'm willing to grow. I am willing to change. I am willing to do better, know better, for I am better, better than I was when I started. For each day, I'm giving a new opportunity to surrender, a new opportunity to do better than I did the day before. And I am loved. Namaste.